We are going to get started with introductions, everyone, while we wait for the other panelists to join us. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pursuit of Happiness, your journal to health and mental wellness. My name is Nyla Williams, and I am a Black mental wellness ambassador who will be supporting today's session. I have the pleasure of introducing you to our amazing speakers, who include Briana Milton, who is a fierce wellness advocate who feels that loving yourself and growing in that self-love should be every person's priority, and Jamel Randall, who is a seasoned massage therapist and yoga instructor with a passion for creating mindful moments for others to enjoy. While we're waiting, if you both can kind of touch on your business and a little bit what I talked about in your bios, that would be great.
Sure. Go ahead.
No, you can go first if you
Well, hello. I'm very thank you so much for the opportunity. So as you mentioned, I am a fierce wellness advocate. I am a fitness instructor by passion. I've been teaching HIIT strength training classes and bar classes for about 7 years. And fitness and movement has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. By profession, I work in education and have my master's degree in counseling and education and work as the director of counseling in Arlington Public Schools. So in my work as a wellness advocate, I definitely am able to combine my mental health experience and the work that I do in schools with students and families, in addition to working with students in the fitness realm. So I'm definitely very excited to talk about wellness and what it means to me, and how I work to support the people in my circle and along their wellness journey.
Yeah. And my name is Jamel Randall. I'm the owner of the Trap Yoga and Massage Studio. We've been in business. I've been in business since 2016. I've used music, as you know, trap music, rap music, to kind of like bring in more people in the community to the practice of yoga, mindfulness. And it's been pretty successful. I've done pop-up events at several places across the country. And the main goal is to get people who normally wouldn't feel comfortable practicing yoga and mindfulness to at least try it. And once they come in, I usually keep a few of them that kind of stick to it and get into the real deal practice of it. I just recently signed a lease for a new studio space downtown Detroit. The first 4 years I was in the suburbs of Detroit, the black suburbs, I should say, Southfield, Latham Village area. So now moving down to Detroit after the COVID pandemic, I'm pretty excited about it. So that's my kick on wellness.
That's great. Thank you so much for those introductions.
Yeah.
So while we're also still waiting, I have a question for each of you. So a lot of people don't understand what mindfulness is. What is it to you?
So I can start and give you my take. So mindfulness, I think, is it's a full body experience. I think it's an opportunity to quiet the mind and to allow yourself to settle into your thoughts, your feelings, to just be in that moment, to be very aware of your breath and aware of any aches in your body, anything that kind of feels off within your energy. It's just an opportunity for you to really focus on how you're feeling in that moment, and quieting what's around you. So, in a quiet space, taking that time to like really focus on just you, internally, externally, emotionally, physically, and doing that in a space that is peaceful, that brings you joy, so that you're able to really focus just on you and focus less on what's going on around you.
So mindfulness is the act of being present. So it's the ability to accept things as they are instead of how we want them to be. And so we practice mindful meditation. Mindful movement would be considered something like yoga, going out for a jog, anything that makes you present. So a lot of times we bring our focus to our breath in mindful meditation, because that's something that'll always be with us every part. But also mindful things that we do is mindful meals. In our yoga teacher training, I lead yoga teacher training. And we do mindful meals as well. And that's like turning off all electronics, not looking at our phone, not reading anything, just simply chewing and digesting your food completely, being completely present. And if you can practice this type of mindfulness, be it, like I said, yoga, running, jogging, any type of fitness, if you could practice that on a regular basis, you're more inclined to be able to accept and adapt to the world that's always kind of moving around. The analogy I like to use usually is that like the world is always a tornado, and we want to be that eye in the middle of a tornado, able to observe everything going on, but calm and peaceful in the center of it. So that's what mindfulness means essentially when you dumb it, when you bring it up to the surface. I guess you could start with it being so little, but it turns into this big balloon of things.
Right. Thank you so much for both of your thoughtful answers. I think that it definitely will allow us and our audience to figure out what mindfulness means to us and how we can practice it. So the next question I have for you guys is, tell us what wellness means to you and how you have progressed on your wellness journey.
Oh man. So I spent a lot of time actually thinking about wellness just throughout my life because it's changed so much for me over time. And when I think about wellness, it's definitely, for me, it's important to understand that wellness has many different dimensions that I think people tend to overlook sometimes. So, spiritual wellness, social wellness, occupational wellness, intellectual wellness, physical, mental, emotional. So there's so many layers to wellness that you really have to be mindful of. And so I think that for me, it's important to, prioritize like which layer needs to be focused on to start to build a healthy self-care routines. And I think it's also important to know that it can be a balancing act sometimes, keeping in mind that you might not find a perfect balance and that you might have to take a little away from one area to feel, complete in another. And so for me personally, it has turned into, really focusing on how I feel versus, how I look or what I'm eating, and focusing on kind of external factors that will impact how I feel emotionally. And I have a daughter, I have a 9-year-old. And so for me, it's become very important to incorporate, movement is 100% a part of my wellness routine and part of what keeps me grounded. And so I think people need to find that for themselves, what that looks like for them and how that allows them to feel grounded and stable, and to find balance within all of those different dimensions of their lives.
Great. Okay, before we continue, Dr. Owens, are you able to see and hear us?
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to begin with your introduction and then I'll let you know which question we're on. So this is Dr. Celeste Owens. She's an international speaker, author, trauma coach, and facilitator whose personal mission is to equip people to live free. So the question we're on right now, Dr. Owens, is tell us what wellness means to you and how your journey, how you have progressed on your wellness journey.
And what wellness means, I have progressed on a journey?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So sorry for the delay that I'm late, you guys. Happiness means that I get to get on my husband's laptop instead of mine. Trying to figure out this back book, I tell you. But anyway, happiness to me absolutely is a journey and it's a choice. It's a journey and it's a choice for sure. So, and happiness too also is, and some people might have already said this, but it's different from joy, which is another feeling. Happiness really is just a choice to be that. So I am melancholy by nature. I definitely see the glass as half empty instead of half full. So I have had over the years to train myself to see the good, not only in my environment, but to see the good in myself, to see the good in other people. And it's been a journey to change my mindset and my perspective so that I could live a life that was abundant as opposed to lack-filled. So again, happiness to me is being able to experience life in all of its goodness, all of its wholeness, from a perspective of knowing that you get the choice many times to decide how you're going to be in this world and how you're going to show up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Dr. Matt, can you hear and see us? Okay, she may be still having some technical difficulties. Okay, so the next question is, the title of this session is The Pursuit of Happiness. In your opinion, is it healthy to strive for constant happiness?
Would you want me to answer that first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I believe that it's not necessary to pursue happiness on a regular basis. I feel like the ability, which goes back to the first question, is being mindful. The ability to accept the good and the bad is the key to happiness. So I feel like the pursuit is almost misleading you, as if the rainy days would never come. So when you understand that you're going to have the rainy days, you're going to have the snowstorms, you're going to have the sunny days. None of it lasts forever. So you have this like literal freedom in your mind that allows you to experience all those things without any type of attachment to them. So to be able to observe instead of being it. So that whatever that sadness is, I'm not the sadness. I'm an observer of sadness. Whatever happiness is, I'm not that happiness. I'm the observer of happiness. So right in the middle of that, you can be what we consider pure bliss, right in the center of both. So I guess you could say that's the short answer of saying, hey, no, the pursuit of happiness isn't necessary. The pursuit of life is really what we should be walking the aisle. We should be walking down.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can jump in. I agree with that 100%. I think that, it's definitely, happiness all the time is a nice thought, and it's definitely something that people, want to strive for, but it's definitely not always going to be, rainbows and sunshines every single day. So I think understanding that there are going to be trials and tribulations, and that we need to find the rays of sunshine in the cloudy storms along the way is what's important, I think, in being able to pull yourself out of and be resilient, and understanding that, you will go through things and that you will also overcome those things. And so, and happiness looks differently for everybody. So, happiness for me can be like content all the time, or it can be, being grateful for what I have, understanding that I'm always striving for, being a better version of myself every day, because we're never done growing and being better. But I also think it's definitely something to consider, and knowing that it is a balance, and that we have to sometimes be flexible and know that there are going to be moments when we are not happy. And I actually was reading something that a friend posted online once about like toxic positivity and what that means and what that looks like, and how, people focus so much on being happy and being positive and just really always being so uplifting without really taking time to process their feelings and emotions, and knowing that you are going to have negative thoughts sometimes, and that they are, you are going to feel sad sometimes, and that that's okay. And that those moments come and those moments go, and how you manage that and how you build resilience, I think, is what should be the focus, not necessarily being happy all the time. So
I think what both of you have said, pretty amazing. And I think Briana touched a little bit on gratitude, because life is going to come, and life is going to bring some storms, some clouds, some snow, rain, all of that. But I found that being able to get to, first of all, I think Jamel, I think it is Jamel, owning whatever feeling that is when it's there, and not trying to just kind of sideswipe it to be intentionally, always happy, because it's not the way it's going to be, but owning that feeling when it comes. And then also gratitude, being able to see the good in anything, or in all things, being able to give thanks. That comes with a lot of training, but to be able to give thanks in whatever condition or state you find yourself in is not going to be automatic. And it might not even happen in that moment. It might be 24 hours later, a week later, whatever it might be. But I found that being able to find gratitude has been huge. I'm a 13-year survivor of breast cancer. And if I was not able to find the good in that circumstance, in the midst of this, I still have two beautiful children. I have a husband, all of these things, being able to find something good in it was, and that gratitude really carried me through the whole experience. So gratitude, I can't say enough about how huge that is.
Yes, I really like how you all touched on
Are you,
basically that
can you
life.
see me?
Yes, we can see you. Are you able to hear us, Dr. Mack?
I can hear you. I can.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Okay,
Guys, I'm
perfect.
so sorry I'm having tech issues. Nyla, thank you so much for your leadership. And I'm really, really excited to be a beautiful panel. I know you guys have already been talking. I've been listening. I just couldn't say anything. So I want to jump right back in. You guys have really been talking through some of your own personal experiences, how you define wellness. One of the things that I'm really curious about is being in the cultural experience that we're in right now with election, racial injustice, and I don't know if you guys already spoke to this, but sometimes as providers, as business owners, as leaders in the community, we're really trying to help promote wellness for others. And sometimes it's a double process because we're overwhelmed as well. So in moments like these, when being a part of the Black community, there's like a collective level of distress from our generations before, you know, what we want for the generations to come ahead. How do you promote this idea of generational wellness, this idea of passing these nuggets to the next generation and helping us as a collective? And I know that's a big question because we're in a really big kind of phenomena that's happening now. So what are some ways that you guys think that you can promote those specific kind of cultural ways to connect to wellness moving forward?
And I can jump in just because I thought about that a lot too, you know, being a mom and having a daughter and, you know, my daughter's still pretty young. And that's something that, you know, changed my wellness journey was having her and understanding that I need to build better habits so that she has the tools that she needs when she's going through things, that she can feel like she can lean back on those tools to help her overcome adversity and to feel like she can, you know, take on any challenge. And so, but it has to start with me. It has to start with how I carve out time for myself, how I prioritize wellness, whatever that means for me. For me, that's movement, fitness, exercise in some capacity. So making sure that I make that a non-negotiable and that I show her that taking care of myself is a priority as well as it is taking care of her, so that she learns that she needs to take care of herself 100% before she can give to anyone else, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. And so she certainly needs to be able to fill her own cup before she can do anything or serve anyone, whether it be in a relationship, in work, in the community. And so that for me, I think is so important, starting with you and then kind of teaching those good habits so that it becomes, you know, something that is just, this is how we do it. This is how we take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. I'm curious from the male perspective too. It's always great to have our men representing, but even kind of thinking, and sorry to put you out in that way too, but anyone can answer from this question. Just thinking about some of the things that we're seeing as far as racial injustice, it's women too. How do you guys navigate a wellness plan when it comes to things that just happen spontaneously? We don't know, you know, if we're going to come against something that's injustice in our lives. So how do we come up as Black men and women with wellness plans to just be prepared?
I think the big thing is, besides similar to what Briana was saying, is by setting an example, because I think the inspiration is the number one thing that, you know, we can offer by the way we move on a day-to-day basis, but to also set the tone overall. So being present and teaching those mindful and those exercises that can help us, Black men, Black women, deal with the things like, I guess you could say, to make us actors make us be active instead of reactors. Because a lot of the things that happen is an instant reaction to something that we don't like. And like you said, the things that have come up, the Black injustice and stuff like that, around that time, I was leading a yoga teacher training. And my co-teacher and a lot of the students that was in the training, they were going through a lot of trauma, mental trauma, where they felt like they needed to do something. They needed to do something. And it was almost like they wanted to fight back. But it was no way they could fight because they had no clue who to fight. They had no idea who to fight. So it was causing this tension in the whole room. And the main thing that I can think to help them with is to be present and to sit with what you feel, but then actually be active afterwards, so that you're not just acting in anger, but you're acting with purpose. So I guess that's the main thing that I like to try to do. I always look at, anytime I do anything like any type of meditations or yoga inside the communities. I coached football for years, so I had the kids doing meditation then. My idea, my mindset has always been to plant the seed, because you don't know when they're going to need that tool going forward. So if you teach them how to observe and how to be present, they can use it when they need it in the future.
Uh-oh. I think she's frozen.
I like about the strategies. And I am curious because you did bring up trauma. And so, Dr. Owens, I'm kind of kicking it.
Yeah.
Is it breaking up?
But if you want me to jump right in, I can. Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. Okay. And I don't see Dr. Owens anymore. But one of the things that I did want to bring up is when you talk about, sometimes I think we go through so much to try to, be well, survive, but the title really is about thriving. And so to get to that other level of thriving, I think sometimes we just try our best to just make it, and we don't necessarily have a plan. We have these strategies and we try to wing it, and we just try to, do the best we can. But what can we speak to as far as barriers that people may have that are still in that survival mode to kind of help them push over into a thrive mode? And I really think you mentioned about mindfulness and mindset and mentality, switching from more of a survival mindset to more of a thriving mindset. And how do we do that and work with the barriers?
Yeah,
for
I'm
our
not sure,
community?
Sarah, if you could see me, but can you hear me at least?
We can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. So I did over a decade of work with trauma survivors. I'm a trauma specialist, actually, and I work with people who were getting over horrific traumas. And one of the things that I learned in terms of getting them from this place of just surviving and actually thriving was to be able to process the things they had been through. So racism in and of itself is traumatic. I was going to say it can be, but it actually is traumatic. And layering that on traumas can be really debilitating for people. So one of the ways in which we get people to thrive is to switch their mindset from being a victim to being a victor. It really is about mindset. Everything that we do in life is about mindset. And a lot of times we have to process things that we've been through and process our beliefs around them. So, for example, my daughter, who's just 13, so she hasn't been through a whole lot at all. But one of the things we do is we teach her not to approach this life as a Black teenager as a victim. So we're doing things like going to rallies or teaching her to read different books about powerful people, or talking about some of the powerful role models that we have, so that she doesn't feel like she's a victim. And one of our favorite phrases at our house is, "We're going to be all right." We've had generations upon generations of people who have suffered injustice, and we, at the end of the day, are going to be all right. So, and then I echo what Briana and Jamel said as well. Taking care of yourself first and making sure that you implement these practices of mindfulness and meditation and deep breathing I mean, y'all could just take a breath right now. Let's just all take a collective breath and exhale back out again. Thank you, Jamel. He's like, yes.
I need it.
So we could do that because breath is life. So just some of those things. But again,
So I couldn't hear anything, but I saw the facial expression. So I was like, it must have been good. But I am wanting to make sure that we do honor our attendees who came and were able to engage with us. And if you guys have questions, we really want you guys for the next 10 minutes to drop some questions in the chat box. But as we are kind of talking through trauma, and I think it is really, really important, to kind of have those strategies for wellness. What are some of the things that you feel like for you when it comes to like the consequences of not having a wellness plan, the consequences of not being able to, push through the barriers? What is that, people want to pay attention to if they fail to kind of have this wellness mindset?
And I can speak, just personally too, and knowing that, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want to sit and do this meditation, or, maybe I'm not in the mood to do this workout, or I don't want to go for this walk, or, there's just, you feel lethargic, especially right now, like the news has sucked the life out of me the last 72 hours. So I'm, in these moments, this is when I know for sure that I need to turn off whatever is going on in my head that's telling me, no, don't do this, go lay down, go, just forget about that and push past that to move forward and go for the walk, do the exercise, ride the bike, talk to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a long time, whatever it is that brings you joy and fills your cup, do that thing, because ultimately you don't want to fall into a depression. You don't want it to become a cycle. And then it's the cyclical, you never can get out of it because you're constantly making excuses and telling yourself, I don't have time, or I'm just too tired, or I'm busy. And so I think that the consequences are definitely greater than that feeling telling you, oh, I don't want to do it right now. So I think it's so important. It has been personally important for me. And I think for others, it's just crucial to always lean on whatever routine, whatever plan that you've built for yourself, so that you are able to push past those feelings of like doubt and sadness, because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I agree. As Briana was talking, I was thinking about a podcast I listened to recently with Tony Robbins, and he spoke about his cold plunge that he takes every morning at 5:30 a.m. And besides the health benefits for the cold plunge, he said he does this because it's a reminder every day that it's going to be some stuff that you don't want to do, but you got to do it anyway. He said not one day does he get up and he says, man, this plunge is going to feel good. I can't wait for it. That's not the purpose. And so I took that on my own as a reminder that, hey, I have to do something that I want to do. So I'm not jumping in a cold plunge. I don't even have a cold plunge to jump into. But what I did do is I decided to set my alarm 45 minutes earlier than whatever I have to wake up every day. And I gave myself 15 minutes to read, just 15 minutes to do a meditation. And then the rest of the time I can do a small practice. Usually the practice will go longer, but I at least give myself that 45 minutes to start my day off, because it's giving myself that habit pattern at the beginning of the day that, hey, it's all about you. It's all about me. And that's like the reminder that we want to do for ourselves. So I say setting that 45 minutes, regardless of if you got to wake up at 10 a.m., you can get up at 9:15. If you have to wake up at 6 a.m., get up at 5:15. It's just simple as that for me.
Cold plunge.
Jumping in
Cold water.
Oh, it really literally is.
Absolutely. And so even thinking of
submerging, so he would submerge himself in it. I did it once in yoga teacher training. We had to jump in the lake, and it was like 40 degrees, and you jump in and you just breathe. It's crazy.
It's
but
no
crazy.
joke. I've done that before, and it's no joke.
But I get the concept now that I know what it is. I get the concept of what he's doing. And I like that Jamel said he wakes up to 45 minutes.
Ooh, tough
Shock to the system.
system. Yeah, I can't imagine that.
But another shock could be you wake up earlier than the
So as we kind of think about, again, culturally, I really love the topic from survival, because so many of us are getting to that point where we're understanding wellness is so important. And when we think about the topic, pursuit of happiness, do you really feel that thriving wellness is synonymous to happiness? Are we chasing happiness by talking about this? I don't know if you guys spoke to this earlier, but what are your thoughts about just the illusion of...
Let you go first, Dr. Owens, because just in case.
Yeah, I don't know if she can hear me, but I'm gonna try to talk. Can you hear me?
You better talk fast.
She might not be.
We can hear you.
You can hear me. You're right. Okay, so this was something that we just talked about earlier too, about that whole. If you talk about the pursuit, does it, is it right or is it wrong, or anything like that? But I just feel like it's a topic that needs to be talked about. In that it is okay to try to maximize your life and try to pursue happiness. There's nothing wrong with it. That that there are going to be days that aren't going to be super happy days. That's just the reality of it. Not going to be super happy days, but there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with being intentional about it. Like each day I wake up and I say, "This is going to be a great day. Whatever it comes, I'm gonna find something great about it. It might not have been everything I wanted to happen, but it actually shifts the energy in your body and everything. When you say today's gonna be a great day, so then I start to look for great things to happen and great opportunities to happen. Does everything happen the way I want? Of course not. Of course not. But the blow is less when I already expect it to be great. That the blow, if I'm expecting negative, then that blow is different. Then I'm like, yep, that's what I was expecting. But to me, everything, again, I'm telling you guys, for me has been mindset, and I've had to live this thing out.
Yeah. What, like, as you were saying that, I was thinking, where the mind goes, energy flows. I'm sure you heard that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like whatever you see. Yeah, I forget what book this was. Whatever you believe, that's what it is. So if you believe that you're happy, you're going to be happy. If you don't, you're not. And that's how I think that's the truth with everything. That's the truth with everything. If you can find something, even in the most dimmest moments, like you did with your breast cancer, I mean, you can find a positive out of it. You can inspire other people to search for a positive inside their lives. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that when we share things like that, that inspires, and that is the ultimate wellness. Wellness is a conglomerate more so than a personal thing. I think that's why we have wellness centers. Wellness centers. If we can all show the same thing, everyone has a story, but everyone can't find the limelight in it. It's in there, but everybody can't find it. So when people like you share stories like that, I mean that has enough power to really change the world. That's a powerful cancer that we want to create, where it can kind of feed off into the world.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
I love that. I really do. I don't know, Briana, but I really love how you talked about it being somewhat of a movement. It's like more than just one person's belief or strive. And when we think about Black mental wellness, and when we think about just from generation to generation, we're kind of moving closer and closer and closer, and this momentum is building towards being able to get through some of the difficult challenges in life that we've experienced as a people and personally. So I think when you talk about wellness as bigger than just a personal belief, it really does make a lot of sense in how we have to look for that silver lining, and how we have to push forward. When you think about that, what type of, I think about just everything that's going on politically right now, and some of the legacy that, John Lewis, and different folks left their light and their legacy. As you think about future generations, what type of legacy do you think that you will
think she was asking about legacy.
Legacy. Mm-hmm.
Did you want to go? Or?
You can go first.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I think the legacy that that I will leave and that I hope to leave is one that
to inspire other people to take their lives from surviving to thriving. Where do you see the movement going?
I'm gonna guess and say it was the rest of the
Try
question.
it again.
Yeah, the legacy that I hope to leave is one of open mind and freedom. I hope that people are brave enough to try to pursue whatever their heart desires without any type of restraints, I should say, or I guess you could say victim mindsets. Like life is happening for us, not to us. I hope that people can actually do that. That's the legacy I hope to leave. Just like you don't have to be the victim. You don't have to be the slave. You don't have to be the Black man that's always like brought down. Granted, all that stuff happens. Of course, I get 1,000 stories where I can share where it's worked against me, but instead we have to acknowledge it, I feel like, and then also pursue the brighter side. I think earlier you said something about the trauma. I think it's beautiful that everyone's embraced trauma and acknowledged it and now standing in it. But now the next step is how do we come out of it? How do we live outside of it? Because I think a lot of people have gotten comfort, have found this circle, this trauma circle, and everybody's comfort, like, hey, this is my trauma, this is my story. And it's like, whose story can be the best? And we all lay on each other. And then next week I see you again. But at some point we want to start powering out, because we want our kids to see that, hey, we don't have to be in those mirrors. We don't have to lay in a puddle of tears for long. We can cry and wipe them and keep on moving. So that's the legacy I want to leave, one of restoration and purpose.
That's good. That is so good. You're like my male twin right about now. Because I totally agree. Just leaving this legacy of people knowing that it's not impossible. Like, we don't have to be victims. We don't have to lay in it, and we don't have to wallow in it. And it's possible. And my son even, he loves baseball. My son is 16 years old. He just started playing baseball 2 years ago, when people typically start playing when they're 2 years old. He just started playing. And I told him, I don't care when you started. You're going to maximize the time you have now, and you're going to do your best, and you're going to go for it. And in 2 years, he's made some exceptional progress, to the point where the coach is like, dude, I could really see you going to the MLB, because that's what my son has been saying for 2 years. I'm going to the MLB. I said, that's right. So what, you only played Little League?
Yeah.
You're going. So that's the legacy I want to leave, that people feel empowered to do what they believe is in their spirit, even if they're behind the 8 ball, even if you just started yesterday. I don't care how old you are, how little bit of money you might think you have. If it's in your spirit to do, and you really believe that's part of your destiny or truth or whatever it is, go for it. Like, jump in. What is it, Jamel? Do the cold plunge?
Jump in, cold.
Jump in.
I could scream as you saying that. That's just to kind of, just real quick, I just want to piggy off of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. That's been like what your son did. When I was a kid, I wanted to play basketball. My mom used to always say, I thought you was going to be a basketball player. Oh. But I thought that I was too old once I got to high school to try to play basketball. I said, I could years ago.
Too late.
It's never too late. It's never too late. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I really hope that I can't, that I'm not interrupting anybody. You guys, I can't see you and I can't hear you, but one thing I want to just resound really clearly is that I'm so thankful for your efforts in our community in promoting wellness. As you mentioned, it is a movement, it is a mindset, it's so many things that progresses us forward into being able to thrive as a community. And so I'm very thankful for this conversation that we were able to have. Again, I'm so sorry for all of the issues on my end, but I'm so excited to really be a part of a group that is promoting wellness and health in our communities. So if you can hear me, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you can't hear me, just know that all of this love just went out in the universe. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the session as we wrap up.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. We know she can't hear us, Jamel, but we really believe that. I've had an amazing time. Glad we've been able to spend these minutes and moments together. So thank you for listening, everyone.
Yes. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate the space with you, Dr. Owens, too. If you get, I don't know if they're going to put your information on there. I want to follow you on social
Same here.
media.
Same
Yeah.
here. I would love, to stay connected.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right. So do we just yogi out?
I guess we do. All right.
All right,
Have a
bye.
good one. Oh, there's Nyla. There's Nyla.
Oh,
I was just kind of want to let you know, guys know, like, yes, it's okay to wrap up the session. Thank you so much for your input. We really appreciated the time you took today to tell us a little bit about your profession and how we can incorporate wellness into our lives. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Mhm.